In the heart of the village of Okonkwo lived a young girl named Nneka. From a young age, Nneka's pride knew no bounds. She walked through the village with her head held high, her curvy figure and colorful garments billowing in the wind. Her laughter echoed through the streets as she regaled her friends with tales of Okonkwo's glory days. But change was on the horizon. With the arrival of missionaries from distant lands, Okonkwo found itself at a crossroads. The villagers were torn between clinging to their traditions and embracing the winds of change that swept through their village. Nneka was staunch in her resistance to change. She scoffed at the missionaries' attempts to convert the villagers to their foreign religion, refusing to bow to their demands. But as the missionaries gained influence, Nneka's pride only hardened. While other villagers were curious about the missionaries' teachings, Nneka remained steadfast in her refusal to entertain their ideas, viewing them as a threat to her way of life. As the missionaries gained influence in the village, Nneka publicly disparaged them, mocking their beliefs and ridiculing their attempts to convert the villagers. When the village elders organized community gatherings to discuss the changes sweeping through Okonkwo, Nneka refused to participate. Her absence at these gatherings sent a clear message of defiance. When some villagers expressed doubts about the validity of certain traditions in light of the missionaries' teachings, Nneka condemned them as traitors to their heritage. Her uncompromising stance left no room for dialogue or understanding. Nneka's pride in her village's traditions led her to engage in public displays of traditionalism, such as wearing elaborate traditional garments and participating in age-old rituals with fervor. While some admired her dedication to preserving their heritage, others viewed her actions as a form of stubbornness and arrogance. As tensions mounted, Nneka found herself isolated from those she once called friends. One fateful day, Nneka's path crossed with that of a young missionary named David. As David wandered through the village square, their eyes met across the bustling marketplace. Nneka's heart skipped a beat as she caught sight of the handsome stranger, his fair skin and foreign attire a stark contrast to the familiar faces of her village. Filled with curiosity mingled with trepidation, David approached Nneka, his steps hesitant yet determined. Their conversation was tentative at first. Awkward pleasantries exchanged amidst the bustle of the marketplace. But as they spoke, a connection formed between them. But despite David's earnest attempts to woo Nneka, he was always met with rejection. David, unfamiliar with Okonkwo's customs and traditions, unknowingly offended Nneka during their first encounter by offering her a gift that was considered inappropriate in her culture. His attempts to communicate with Nneka were often hindered by language barriers. Despite his efforts to learn the local dialect, he struggled to express himself fluently, leading to misunderstandings and frustration. Nneka's adherence to traditional values and expectations placed further strain on her relationship with David, despite his efforts to respect her beliefs. Also, the presence of other missionaries and foreign influences in Okonkwo further complicated David's attempts to win Nneka's heart. Despite these challenges, his genuine love for Nneka and his unwavering determination to win her over convinced Nneka and she couldn't help but fall in love with David. With each passing moment, Nneka and David found themselves drawn deeper in love, their shared laughter and stolen glances speaking volumes where words fell short. They dated in secret and cherished every moment they spent together. They also made plans for future even though they both knew their harsh realities. As whispers of their forbidden love spread through the village like wildfire, Nneka and David found themselves facing an impossible choice. When news of Nneka's relationship with David reached the village elders, they condemned her actions as a betrayal of their traditions. Nneka's family disowned her, casting her out of the village and leaving her to fend for herself in the unforgiving wilderness. David watched, unable to help or interfere. Alone and heartbroken, Nneka wandered the wilderness, haunted by the ghosts of her past. Nneka soon found herself struggling to survive. Hunger gnawed at her belly, and thirst parched her throat as she wandered deeper into the heart of the wilderness. As Nneka's strength waned, she stumbled upon a clearing in the jungle. With her last ounce of strength, she collapsed to the ground, her spirit broken and her pride shattered. In the end, Nneka's story served as a cautionary tale for the villagers of Okonkwo. Her pride had been her downfall, leading her to a tragic end in the unforgiving wilderness. Thanks for watching. Subscribe.